Hi, welcome to True. We're going to go over the quotes module overview for this session. So to navigate to the quotes module, make sure that you're in the jobs workflow by going to the main menu, selecting jobs. You'll be brought to the summary screen or your personalized dashboard here, and then click on the quotes module by clicking on the quotes tab. In here, we're going to see all of our active quotes that are listed in this active list down here, but we can filter out specific records. To do this, I can choose one of these buttons up here, one of the options down here, or the search field. So to begin, let's talk about these buttons up at the very top. Unassigned is going to filter out all records that do not have at least one assigned user. So if I look at Pinellas County Schools here, I can click on Unassigned and I can choose an assignee. That gray unassigned button now turns green and has the assignee name, of which I can also add more users. And then it removes that quote from the unassigned field. So you saw the number just update there. Same thing for unscheduled. It's going to filter out all unscheduled records. If I click on this option here, I can choose the unscheduled button. If they had any schedules created for this particular quote, I could view them, but I want to create a new one since I don't have any scheduled. And then I can type in what I need for the title, the contact, the quote number, and the quote client name, and the location are already pre-filled in for me since I did it from the quote itself. I can add a specific time if I want to. I can change the date by clicking in these fields, and then I can add a description. Then I can further add a type down here. I can click View in Calendar, and I can assign resources from the calendar or just view it in the calendar view. I'm going to select Done and then hit the back button to go back to my quote. Now I see that it is scheduled and the button has turned brown. It's also going to be removed from this scheduled filter. So again, any records that do not have at least one schedule will show up under Unscheduled. Incomplete will filter out all records that do not have the Sent button marked as sent. So right now it's marked as not sent. If I click on that, it turns green, and then I also have this follow-up option show up. If I set a follow-up date in here, if it's in the future, it'll be blue. If it's in the past, it'll turn red, and if it's also the current date, it will be red. That brings us to our next button, which is Sent. So any records that have been marked as sent will then be displayed in here. Any records that have been marked with a follow-up date that is past due or is the current date, so again, if it's red, those will be showing in the follow-up purple button filter here. In the search field down here, I can search by all client account names, stage, ID numbers, or description. So this description field here, which also corresponds to this within the quote record. Hitting all will give me all active records. My quotes will give me all the quotes assigned to my username or the username that is logged in. My due will give me all records that are coming up due. So again, if I don't have any quotes that are assigned to me that have a follow-up date set that is due today or a past date, then it won't show up any records. I'm going to turn this one on due today, and now that I see it's showing as my due. So it's the equivalent of the follow-up filter, but for the records that are assigned to my username. Favorites are going to show me any record that I have favorited in the quotes module. I'll also see a yellow star here, and I can pull up all of my favorites by clicking on Favorites down here, or underneath the lightning bolt icon and choosing Favorites and see all my favorited records. So these are all the records that I've favorited in the system. Favorites are just like bookmarking something that you want to quickly be able to jump to in the Favorites module or see quickly in that particular module. So for example, in the quotes, I can pull up all my favorite records here. To favorite a record, click on the hamburger icon and choose Add Favorite. You'll see the yellow star pop up. If I want to remove the favorite, I just click on the hamburger icon and then select Remove Favorite. Rejected is going to pull up all the records that are marked as rejected. These will then be removed from the All filter or the Active list. To mark a quote as rejected, find that quote, go to the options, select Edit, and then mark the rejected box here. Again, that moves it from the active list and puts it in the rejected filter. If I click on any of the checkboxes over here, I have two different options. It's going to bring up the pink boxes. We call these the batch action icon or batch action options. Clicking this box will select all of the records in the list, or I can turn off or turn on the records that I want to select. And choosing Omit will just remove the records from the list that I'm looking at. It does not delete them, it does not archive them. If I'm working in a specific filtered list, I can just remove those records and then no longer see them as I'm working through that quote list. The next time I choose all, or I navigate away and come back to the quotes module, all of those lists will appear again. I can additionally delete multiple records at once. We don't really recommend deleting records unless you know that they have been made an error. It is recommended to mark the records as rejected, which is also essentially archiving the record. If you delete a record, that action is irreversible and the record is gone from the system. The green plus icon will create a brand new quote record, and it'll bring you to the edit screen where you can fill in the various information needed for that quote. The refresh button will refresh all the numbers on the screen. The export button, if you select this, will export all the active data or all the data in the list that you wish to export into a CSV file, which then you can manipulate in Excel or CSV format. PDF will give you two options for reports. There's the basic report, which displays the ID, stage, client, and job site address for all active records, and detailed report, which displays each quote record per page with the contact details, description, stage, line items, and price totals per page. The small gear icon will allow me to download a CSV template, which that I can fill out in Excel or a CSV format so that I can import quote records into the system. Once I've filled that information out on the CSV template, I can save it to my computer and then come in here and choose the small gear icon and then select import records and import that data. Additionally, I can come in here and I can sort records by ID, stage, client, or description. Clicking in the field in this top header bar will highlight that field blue, and then I can choose whether I want this descending or ascending. If I come over to ID and stage, I can click in here and choose which option I want. Same thing for client and description. The upper right hand corner, I have the new button, which allows me to create a new lead, quote, job, or invoice directly from the quotes module. If you have any questions about the quotes module or the list view here, select the question mark and you can submit a support ticket, or you can choose help to launch the help center for the quotes module and view the help guide. Additionally, you can contact us at support@constructtrue.com.